All right, guys. Welcome to Rigid Axle's STS podcast. My name is Jake. This is my wife, Samantha.
Hi.
We are the owners of Rigid Axle, and today we are interviewing Matt Maggio. He is our longtime friend now, I guess you can say, right? It's been a few years since we met.
Yeah.
He found us. He found our website a few years back. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. And he is our sales rep for Revolution Gear and Axle, and also Proactive Gear. So we talk with him almost on a daily basis. Source some parts for our differential line and everything else under the sun. If we're looking for something, we go to him and try to source it. So thanks, Matt, for coming on, taking the time and talking with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's an honor and a privilege.
Great. You guys are still coming out for SEMA?
We are. I'll be out there November 1st.
November 1st?
I think that's a Tuesday.
Is that, yeah, that's when it starts? Is that when you're flying out?
Yeah, I think I get into Vegas at like 10 in the morning.
Oh, you do?
So,
okay.
Yeah, so I'll be out there the whole day.
Did you already...
Actually, Kevin and I were... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Did you already get your badge and everything?
No, we're trying to sort that out. There was complications on it.
So as of right now, you're not coming to SEMA?
As of right now, I have a plane ticket that's non-refundable.
Nice.
But I'm not going to SEMA.
Great.
But the plan is to get into SEMA and Apex. No, we'll be there. So the parent company, CHA Industries, and then we have there's a few DBAs under that.
Right.
Obviously, Revolution Gear and Proactive under it. So we're just trying to figure out. Kevin was having issues with signing us up yesterday, but we'll get it figured out.
Yeah, I think I signed myself up, but it wouldn't let me sign her up for whatever reason, so she still needs to do that.
It sounds like you guys are going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think I talked to Daryl about it too, and I don't know. It wouldn't let me sign him up under my account or something. He had to do it himself. I don't know. Yeah, same issue I'm sure you guys are having.
Yeah, I think they want people, but they're not making it easy for us to get registered. But we'll get it figured out.
Yeah. Last year we tried. So we went to SEMA all year, but we didn't. We tried to go to Apex. We went to SEMA all week. We tried to go to Apex and they wouldn't let us in because we didn't have that Vax card. Retarded.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm wondering this year, are we going to waste our time again and them not let us in?
I don't know how it's going to be.
The Apex?
Yeah. You said we were never going to Apex again.
As long as we're not going to get our vaccine.
Oh.
But
well, yeah. No.
We do need to go to Apex at some point.
Okay.
You're vaxxed,
yeah,
right?
I think the Apex is good for the transfer case side of the house.
Yeah.
Obviously SEMA's just, builds and, if you cater to the off-road game, that's important to go over there to do that. Jeeps and Toyotas and everything else. But, just pure diff and going to visit the rebuilders and all that's SEMA's a must. Or, Apex.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually never been to Apex. My grandpa always went there at least one day during the week, but I've never been, so it'd be interesting to go see what they have.
Yeah, I think that's where we do. I mean, listen, all the Flash and a bunch of our parts are on, we are either sponsored or, actually purchased for a lot of the SEMA builds.
Right.
So it's nice to go there to support that and to support our customers and obviously promote the brand. But the Apex is probably where more of our deals get done, to be honest with you.
Yeah, all the business stuff is done through there, right? That's kind of more of the manufacturing and stuff. Yeah, I think it'd be worthwhile for us to go check out and see who's there and all that stuff,
I agree.
So we're going to go to dinner.
Dinner or lunch. I have, since this is the first time in 3 years because we didn't go the two previous years. Right. I'm trying, Kevin and I are sitting down and ironing all that out. I'll let you guys know. We'll definitely we'll break bread together. Yeah. And the only reason I say that is because we have, the SEMA and Apex show is huge for us because we can kill a lot of birds with one stone. Right. And we have a ton of our international customers that go to it, and that's the only time that they come in. So I know we're pretty jam-packed with that, but I'm gonna still try to finagle a dinner. If not, we're doing two things. We're actually gonna have a cocktail hour or 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say it over the podcast because I don't want to,
Yeah.
I don't want a bunch of fanboys storming the cocktail party.
Right.
And if not, I mean, what I'm getting at is we'll meet up.
We'll meet up. Yeah, no
we'll
big
try
deal.
to make it a dinner. If not, we'll do a lunch or whatever works best for all of us.
Yeah, no big deal. Obviously, whatever. It's a busy time for everybody. So, especially you guys, like you said, you haven't been there for 3 years, so it's,
Yeah, it's 3 years.
Go
trying
time.
to jam 3 years into one, which is crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people to talk to and meet up with.
Absolutely.
So, I guess we had discussed earlier talking about the Dana crate axle stuff. You guys just brought on the crate axles in your warehouse, and you guys are starting to move that.
Yeah, it's I would say it kind of goes in phases, but overall we've moved. We're moving a lot of them. It's kind of like we're just seeing gear jobs. So, our bread and butter, what keeps the lights on, are our GM 10 bolt diffs and our Chrysler 9 1/4, which are our 2-cut gears, a 2-cut ring and pinion, or a dry cut. That's what keeps the lights on. People don't realize that because they think of Revolution exclusively for the off-road. So, Jeeps and Toyotas and some other applications.
Right. You guys have seen, seem to have really busted into that. The Jeep guys all know Revolution gear.
Yeah, and trust me, I mean, we're very thankful for that. We try to make all the major shows. We were out at Moab. We were at Bantam. We were at Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion this year. We were at, I'm missing one, Jeep Beach.
Yeah.
I'm going to be out in, I guess, about 2 weeks. I'll be back out in the northern Pennsylvania, the tip of the Appalachian Mountains again for Bantam. It's called their Trail Fest.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, we were going to get to Trail Hero. That unfortunately fell through. We'll go to Trail Hero next year for sure. But when you work those shows and you do those off-roading events, I mean, you have to. I mean, it's those guys that use our products that we manufacture,
right,
and put them to test out on the trails off-roading, and it's a no-brainer and it's fun. I mean, listen, if you call that work, sign me up every day.
No, I know that's cool. That's a good time. So, like, what do you guys do at those shows? You guys bring a couple, like 2 or 3 sales reps out there, and do you guys bring product, and like what's your guys' plans when you go out to Jeep Beach and all that stuff?
So Jeep Beach I think what we've realized is not, so there's kind of different shows, like we classify them. There's shows that you need to be at just because there's still high traffic and people are off-roading. And then there's shows that are selling shows.
Okay.
And I don't know which one's better than the other. I think they're equally important. You have to have a presence to both of them. So Jeep Beach is a good selling show to where we actually sell inventory while we're there.
Oh, really?
And then Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion has turned into an awesome selling event as well.
Gotcha.
That one's really, I mean, that might be my favorite one. It's in the Smoky Mountains. It's beautiful in the Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge area. So we sell a lot of stuff there. And then there's a lot of off-roading. Windrock is a off-road park that's there. That's very, very popular. And it's some very challenging trails over there.
Do you guys ever go out on the trails while you're there?
Yeah.
So you guys take your own Jeeps down there or to whatever show?
Yeah. So Kevin took his, I was slated to go this year. I ended up going on vacation, and it interfered, and then I would have to have left early, a day and a half early. So I just didn't go. Kevin went with two of my coworkers.
Okay.
And they did about a day and a half of trail riding, and then set up at the vendor show.
Gotcha.
Okay.
But I mean, that's
cool.
huge. I mean, honestly, guys, I know it's kind of a haul going from Vegas to Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion, but if you get a chance, I would, whether you want to set up a booth or not, but just to walk around, it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously talked about we need to be doing that stuff too. We need to be going out and meeting people and going to different shows. I mean, there's a lot of different stuff out here. Even we're close to California, and then we're close to southern Utah, Moab, and Sand Hollow. They're always doing stuff out in Sand Hollow, which is just outside of St. George. It's only 2 hours away from Vegas. It's really close. So, I mean,
I think that's where they do Trail Hero, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. Isn't that coming up in the next few weeks or something like that?
Yeah. So it's actually the same weekend as Bantam Trail Fest.
Oh, okay.
So Trail Hero's bigger than Bantam Trail Fest, but it's easier for us as a drive. There was a few things behind the scenes to why, but we were actually set up to go to Trail Hero first. Not to get into a lot of detail, we just decided for time constraints that it would be easier to I think it's like a 6.5 hour drive for me to go to Bantam. It's like 45 minutes north of Pittsburgh.
Okay. Yeah, you guys are out of Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago and Los Angeles.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right, cool. So are you guys? I guess back to the crate axle stuff. You guys are carrying 44 and 60s. You guys have 80s in the warehouse as well?
We have 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have 80s as well.
So how are you seeing those? Are more 60s moving than 44s, or is it like 44s pretty heavy? And then I'm interested in the 80s as well. Like how many people are actually upgrading to, Dana 80?
So the 80s is new for us. I think we've moved a couple, but I mean, we just started selling them fairly recently.
Right.
As far as 60s and 80s, I'd have to, I probably should have looked that up before I got on here. I think it's leaning a little bit more towards 44s.
Really?
But we definitely sell 60s as well.
Right.
I just quoted out a customer in West Virginia, actually. He's doing a Gladiator build, and the customer wants 60s front and rear. So, I mean, that's a big ticket. But,
yeah.
Kind of like what you had said in your previous podcast, I think you initially see that sticker shock, and some people, I don't know if they shy away or they try to get a different game plan. But, if you're going to build it or you want to build it right, if you really break it down and you crunch the numbers, I don't really think it's that unreasonable. Listen, this is off-roading, or even if you're not off-roading it much, but you just want to have a custom build and just look, have a mall crawler, which I don't have a problem with. You do you. It's expensive. So,
right.
It
is, yeah.
But with that said, it's not expensive in, relative to what you're doing. It's reasonable if you really think about all the labor that's involved, opposed to, just swapping out axles with a crate axle. I think it's not as bad as what that initial sticker shock would be.
Yeah, I think like I said in the last podcast, like you referenced it, if you're looking to, I guess, are most people taking the 30s out of the front and putting 44s? So, yeah. I mean, if you're looking to do that, you're having to source a Dana 44 somewhere, and then either retrofitting it to fit your JL, JT, whatever. And just like you said, the labor to do that, you're taking this blank slate, and you're probably putting a locker in it. You're probably putting gears in it to match the rear. You're probably putting a lot of labor into it to make all the bracketry work with your stock suspension or whatever suspension you're running. So yeah, it just kind of makes sense, like you said, the sticker shock at the beginning, but then once people start calling around to different shops to actually do the fabrication, make it all happen, get all the parts in, it's a lot of headache to source. Okay, well, if I'm looking for the cheapest way out, I'm going to buy a locker and maybe gears from Amazon or something like that, and then I'm going to go use this shop because it's local. They can do the labor, but that's going to be crazy. Like once you add all of those things up, all that headache along the way, the crate axle is like, it's already built. It's sitting in a crate in a warehouse. Most likely it's already built, right? If not, it might take a week to build, and then maybe another week to get to you. So 2-week lead time, you think is reasonable?
I think they've been, so, I mean, we have, I don't know, let's just say I have 20 to 25 crate axles that are physically in my warehouse. But for the most part, Dana's had very good availability as of late. I think you actually just sold one recently with an ARB in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think the lead time's about 10 days or so. You know, and let's face it, these are serious builds when you're doing a crate axle.
Right.
You know, if you get it within inside a month, I think most instances you're doing fine, because I'm not saying that whoever's ordering from you can't do it themselves, because, you know, maybe they have a pole barn, or they are a shop owner or whatever.
Right.
But if not, if they're a consumer and they're taking it to a shop, I mean, those aren't the type of builds where if I don't have it within a week, it's a lost sale. I mean, you know, think about the scheduling that a shop needs to do.
Yeah, so, of course.
I you know, if you're a consumer, I you know, take that kind of stuff into consideration.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing I've pointed out, and I've pointed out to you guys, I've pointed out to other customers, and I think retailers, or not retailers, I should say, consumers are starting to learn is, you know, I wouldn't be in such a rush to cancel sales with whatever distributor you bought online with. And the reason I say that, and I'm not even saying just crate axles, anything.
Right.
It could be a locker, it could be a gear set, it could be anything. You know, at the end of the day, there's a handful, you know, 5 to 10 manufacturers that make all these parts.
Yeah.
And all these distributors are buying from the same people. So
right.
Let's say they put a purchase order through Rigid Axle for something Revolution, and we're back ordered on it. Well, if they cancel your PO and they think they're going to go to somebody else, all they're doing in most instances are just going to the end of the line with
exactly. They're going to the end of the line faster, right? They're just wasting more time because
yeah,
your POs are you're already in line, right? If I tell you that it's on back order, or, you know, we're not going to have this for another 2 weeks, and then you cancel with me and you find it a couple days later with some other distributor, just like you said, you're just going to the back of the line. So now you just lost a couple days in that line, and it's going to go to how many other people before you?
Yeah, I think, and this isn't our fault. This isn't a distributor's fault with as far as what it shows in inventory, but all that stuff's hard to trust. Meaning, if it says in stock, I mean, there's a lot of things that have to talk to each other. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's super reliable. So I guess my little advice to your customers or anyone that's listening to this, don't be so in a rush with, you know, the supply chain issues we have and the shortage of people, which it's all connected. It's a domino effect.
Yeah.
I would say, you know, hopefully you can be patient and just write it out. And, you know, companies, you know, manufacturers and vendors like myself to you guys, you know, we're always in constant communication to give updates and, you know, to the best of our ability. You know, there's always that kind of that grace period because, you know, things have gone in production, they've been done, you know, then we have to get them en route to our warehouse, and then we ship them out to you guys. Right. So there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, but I guess I just wanted to make that a point, you know, and hopefully, you know, people listening to this podcast have already, and I think actually to backpedal a little bit, I think consumers, I feel like I'm seeing a lot more patience than what we did, you know, let's say 2 years ago. Well, yeah, everyone was so quick to cancel it and go somewhere else, but I think they're starting to learn, like, hey, there's no reason for this. Now I'm actually shooting myself in the foot. Now I'm 2 to 4 weeks behind to where I wasn't, where I previously was, because at the end of the day, everyone fills by the date of the PO. Right. So if I get part X in, that is, you've been on back order with me for 4 weeks, and I got a guy that just put one on order a week ago, I mean, you're going to get taken care of first. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's only fair. Just because you like the other guy who put the P&O or the PO in,
yeah,
you know, later, like, that's not really how it works, right? It doesn't matter how much you push, you know, the owner or whoever, can we please, you know, that's a bad business. That's not how it works. You get the PO in, and they go out in order of who placed the order.
Yeah, and I mean, trust me, there's times where it's even frustrating, even though I'm saying this and that's the correct way to do it. You know, there's special circumstances, right? Mm-hmm. Where you have a really good customer and they're in a bind because who knows the circumstances, and they're like, hey, I really need to be bumped. You know, those days are pretty much over now.
Yeah, it's hard to do that now.
It's hard to do that. It's not the right business practice. So, right. You know, I don't think we're doing anything different than our competitors are. I mean, you know, anyone that has, you know, any business acumen needs to more or less process orders and go about their business that way. But at the very least, I mean, obviously I can only speak for ourselves, and that's how we're fulfilling. And I think, the distributors understand this. It's just trying to get that passed along to the consumer.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, 2 years ago today or 2 years ago from now, we were just canceling orders, like, 50%, 75% of orders would come in and they were all canceled because they didn't have them. And yeah, I know. I mean, we used to do, 10 orders a day with you that would get canceled. And it was so frustrating for everybody. But like you said, over the last couple of years, it's everybody's kind of, gone through that so many times that they're like, okay, I understand it's back ordered. I'm probably not going to find it anywhere else now. I'll just keep my seat in line, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think there has been better patience with everyone.
Yeah.
And things have gotten better. I mean, I think the other thing that's kind of a nice segue into this is, I get a lot of questions to where, let's just say a Dana 44, older generation, pre JK and JLs, and let's say lower numerical ratios. So, let's say a Dana 44, 355 or 373. I'll get, customers call me direct. It could even be your customer where, they're on back order, but then they contact us, which that's fine. We'll answer questions. Why has this been on back order for so long? It's pretty simple. And every manufacturer has to prioritize this way. Everything's a numbers game, right? So if we sell Dana 44 JK, 456 and 488s, I mean, we sell thousands of those a year.
Right.
And then you have an older generation, let's say TJ and older, so 06 and older Jeeps that use a standard 44. And they want a 373. I mean, they're replacing it with a stock ratio.
Yeah. So
I may have had those in production 3-4 times this year, and we've sold out of, or we're getting close to sell out on 456s, 488s, 513s. I might sell 200 of the 355s or the 373s in a course of a year.
Right.
But I'll sell 2,000 of the other. Yeah. So that's,
you got to keep what moves in stock, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it stinks. Trust me. I mean, especially some of these obscure or older gear packages, and they're still out there. I mean, I hate saying no. I hate saying, oh, you know what? These are on back order. But unfortunately, sometimes that's what happens. What I do try to do to kind of, I guess, put this all together was, I don't want to lead, my customers and then you turn around and lead your customers down the wrong path or misinformation. So, we're far enough into this to where I know certain ratios. I know the production schedule. It's I see it, what's going in about 2-3 months out. So if it's not on the schedule for 2 months, I mean, let's face it, it's end of September now. I mean, I more than likely, if it's not on that production schedule now, I'm not going to see that gear probably till February, March.
Right.
And then, that's when you just be truthful. Like, listen, if you really want Revolution gear, then you're going to have, this is your timetable. If not, you'll have to look elsewhere. But the problem with that, unfortunately, is all the other gear companies out there are having to do the same thing that we have to do.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a lot of the same parts back ordered with all companies, just because, again, you have to prioritize. There's only so many gears that can go into production in a course of a month. And you start seeing the trends,
How are you guys seeing the why can't I think of it? The containers come through. Are they starting to ease through port now? Okay.
Yeah, good. So all of our product comes through the Port of Los Angeles. That's all from our factories that the things that we manufacture out of country. We're seeing, I mean, it's under a month, I would say, on average now. I mean, there was times where it would sit in the port on a vessel in our container there was a handful that were over 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
insane. Yeah. I mean, there were back orders that we were like, oh, it's been 6 months and it's still sitting in port or whatever. Like, it was insane.
Yeah.
Well, and that's frustrating too, because it's one of those things where it's like, you call me up and say, what's going on? Well, it's stateside, but it's on a container that's about 2.5 miles from my Cerritos, California warehouse.
Yeah.
And it's just sitting there. We can see it. We open up the overhead from our warehouse and we can wave to our product.
Yeah.
But I haven't followed it as closely just because we're getting so many containers in on a daily basis. But I think
that's good.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 2-3 weeks tops that we're waiting on once it hits the pier.
Yeah.
And then get it offloaded and get it into a warehouse.
That's good. That's good. Finally, so, I mean, we've said it multiple times once we started doing this podcast, like it's finally about that time where, that shit is going to come to an end, right? Like,
yeah.
It's finally freeing up. Everybody is starting to have product on the shelf.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, the other part of that, which is frustrating, and this isn't me ragging on other manufacturers, but my product for the most part is very heavily, I don't know what the right word or term is, but if you think of within a gear package, right? So in a gear package, you have front and rear ring and pinions, and you have front and rear master overhaul kits. Mm-hmm. And the primary parts inside a master overhaul kit are obviously bearings. And there was I call it a bearing crisis. Mm-hmm. And especially in the beginning, because the first year or so, maybe year and a half, we were still killing it on inventory. We had great inventory, and but I couldn't get a bearing to save my life. I feel like it's daily we're getting bearings in. So that's really started to turn around, which is nice.
Was that mostly a Timken thing, or was it Koyo as well?
It was both.
Was it?
It was both. And there for a while, just to get product out the door, we had to source bearings from elsewhere, just kind of piecemeal it together. Mm-hmm. But all, nationally known, internationally known bearing companies.
Right.
But everyone was doing that. You had to do what you had to do to get product out the door.
Yeah.
And I still see it today sometimes where, I'll get a PO in, and we list our gear packages with either Timken or Koyo. And a PO comes in and they ordered Timken or Koyo for that matter, but I might have a Timken front and a Koyo rear.
Right. Yeah, it's frustrating.
I can appreciate, because I'm a little OCD with stuff like that, so I can appreciate when somebody's like, I really want the same bearings front and rear.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're both insanely good bearings.
Right.
Timken's been around, especially obviously in the States, forever. So people, that name recognition. But for that matter, Koyo's been OE now for probably close to a decade in Jeeps. So there's absolutely nothing wrong. And I would say my advice would be, don't be so hung up on mix, match, and bearings, especially at this point in time. If we have the bearings, take them. Yeah. Get your gears installed and go out on the trails and have fun.
We actually had an interview with somebody who had been in the diff game for a while, and during his interview, he was interviewing for a sales position. He was interviewing and told us that how terrible Koyo was. He would never sell Koyo. It's all garbage, has to be Timken. And I was literally arguing with the guy for 10, before I was like, hey, this is a waste of my time.
Yeah.
I've literally never had an issue with a Koyo bearing. Yes, Timken is a company that I want to support here in the U.S. Mm-hmm. It's a great company. There's nothing wrong with a Timken bearing.
For sure.
But we also sell mostly Koyo stuff just because it's cheaper, right? The end consumer most people want the cheaper thing, where there are those people who want the premium product and want to support the USA company. But a lot of people want a Koyo bearing, and I've never had an issue with Koyo one time. So it's
so in my response to that would be, there's probably a few factors that go into it, but and I say, and I'm not correcting you because I say the same thing. We were predisposed to say cheaper, mm-hmm. but it's just least expensive.
Right.
And the reason I say that is because the quality's there. I mean, the material, the metal that goes, or the alloy that goes into making these bearings and the casings and the races, it's all the same. And I'll give you an example. Our U.S. axles opposed to our Discovery Series axles. Listen, we're a veteran-owned and operated company, so anytime we can push U.S. made, absolutely. I'm a veteran myself. It's near and dear to my heart. But if you need or you want to get your rig back out on the road or upgrade to get out and do some rock crawling or whatever you're using your application for, it is what it is. You have two options, right? You can wait for a product if it's back ordered, or you can substitute for what's available. So our U.S. Compared to our Discovery Series, which is our import line, there's really not much of a difference. The U.S. mades, where the ears where the U-joints go in, are a little bit beefier, but they're all chromoly axles. So as far as what actually goes into the metal when they're being forged, it's the same material.
Right.
Okay, it's the same strength.
You're getting USA manufactured quality over an imported product.
Right. And so right now, what we're faced with is we're having trouble finding the raw material, the forgings for U.S. fronts. Mm-hmm. We have all the U.S. rear axles in stock right now, everything. And they're flying off the shelf, but we went heavy in production, so we're good to go. But the fronts right now, if you're upgrading front and rears at the same time, your only option with us, unfortunately, currently is going to be the Discovery. And I don't say unfortunate because it's a lesser product. I just explained, it's the same chromoly axle shaft. It's just we don't have the forgings. We don't have the raw material.
Yeah, I mean, and back to the Koyo Timken thing, if like the scenario you gave earlier, if you are looking for a gear package and you only have Timken for the front but Koyo in the rear, there's no reason to shy somebody away from that, because Koyo is a top quality product, just like Timken is. 100%. It's just a different. It's just a different company. So,
absolutely. Yeah. And if it's manufactured overseas, costs are cheaper. Mm-hmm. So that's probably about the only. I mean, that's probably off the top of my head, that's really the only thing that I can see why the costs are a little bit less. But that doesn't mean it's an inferior product. Again, we're pro USA. We're pro make manufacturing as much as we can. Obviously we manufacture axle shafts. Our diff covers are U.S. made. Our new drive shaft. We just launched a drive shaft line, kind of a soft launch, if you will. Mm-hmm. But those are made in the U.S. So whenever we can make something in the U.S., that's going to be our first choice and our first option. But that doesn't mean that when we make other product outside of this country that it's inferior.
Yeah, no, 100%. When I say cheaper, I don't mean cheaper quality. I mean cheaper.
I know.
But some people, you know what I mean? Just to clarify, cheaper price-wise, not Koyo is a shit product because it's $5 cheaper than the Timken. Like, that's not how it works. It's do
you really think do you think Mopar or Fiat, or who I think Fiat sold it to a French company now, whatever Jeep is owned by now, do you really think they're going to be putting these in all the Jeeps out the factory, their Koyo bearings, if they're garbage?
Yeah, 100% not. That's ridiculous.
They're not going to do it.
No, that's me and her left that, or the guy left after that interview, and I was like, what the fuck was that? Like,
so it was a guy that you were interviewing to come to work for you guys?
Yeah. Yeah, it was after Nick left, and we were looking for that sales position to, it was open.
Yeah.
He was just like Nick too.
Oh, it was crazy. Yeah, they were they were twins.
Identical.
I mean, Nick didn't have that. Like, he hated Koyo thing, so I don't know where that came from with this guy, but it was funny. Like, their personalities were basically the same.
Did you see? It's gone kind of viral. The video of Eli Manning with the wig and the prosthetic nose.
Uh huh.
Are you sure it wasn't Nick doing that to you guys, trying to re-interview?
It literally could have been, because they sat the same, their mannerisms were the same, the way they talked was the same. I mean, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was.
Nothing against the guy. He was fine. He just, he was going to be on the phone arguing with people about why they're dumb buying the Koyo kit. And I was like, obviously you can't have that in a sales position, you know, like that you're leading people down the wrong path if you're going to tell them that, no, don't buy this from us because it's garbage, but you're going to have to wait 8 months for this bearing kit to come in. Like,
well, yeah, you're not here to voice your opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, sometimes people want their opinions, and I think that's okay in certain situations. But you kind of have to tread lightly, right? I mean, especially with what every company's up against. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, I love going to restaurants and asking the server, what would you recommend?
Do you do that a lot?
I do that all the time.
So do I.
Do you?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, I do it all the time. Sometimes I just go in between. Like I'll say, all right. Like I was in Boston. I just flew back from Boston on Wednesday, and I was at the airport, and I was so busy I was visiting customers and prospects up until I was driving into the airport, and so I ate at the airport, and I just said, here's two options. Do I do the pappardelle pasta, or do I do a meatball sandwich? I mean,
yeah. What do you like better? Well, sometimes I just
talk to me.
I hand them the menu and I'm like, whatever you think I'll like, and then
I've done that. Oh, I do that too.
What do you mean?
I do that too.
Like we're regulars now at this place, Viva Mercados. We've been going there for, I don't know, since we've been married. And
I've been going there before we got married.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Well, same. I used to go there with my family all the time. I didn't know you'd been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we go there all the time. So all the waiters know us. Everybody in there, like gives us shit because they're like, oh, it's been 3 days. Where have you guys been? We go there all the time. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll literally just tell them what you order for me, whatever you think I'll like, and they're always like, are you sure? Like, what do you mean? What do you like? And I'm like,
I mean, yeah.
I'm not picky, so I whatever they think is really good on their menu, I want to try it.
I think that's showing the restaurant and the people there that you trust them, and it's like a respect thing.
Yeah.
I'm also I'm big on calling them by their names because I feel like most people just think they're just kind of like robots.
Right.
So if you know them, that's obviously easy. But if you don't know them, then you either ask them or if they have a name tag. I'm all about saying their name.
Yeah, it wins them over real quick.
People like hearing their own name, believe it or not. Yeah.
Well, how come you haven't been saying my name very often in this podcast?
Well, I don't call you Jake. I just call you like Sugar Tits or Boo. Or
yeah. Nick calls me Jacob. So should I change my name on here to Jacob? Does he still do that?
Oh, is he still calling you Jacob?
I think so. Right?
Wait, you just said Nick.
Yeah, mustache.
Yeah, Nick from Gaetanos.
Oh, Gaetanos. I'm sorry. I'm behind.
We still call him Mustache Nick. That's what Hudson knows him by.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is
legit.
Probably the best mustache I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's legit. It's funny every time we go in there. He kind of has a different style going on. Yeah. Whatever it is. Yeah.
Well, I'm offended that he doesn't know my name.
He doesn't?
No.
How not?
Yeah, it's Jake's wife.
Oh, thanks, Matt. That's comforting.
Well, somebody thought that was funny. I don't know. He might know who your name. Well, maybe you don't. Oh, sorry about that.
Well, that was your wife? Or that was your dog?
You hear my dog?
Yeah.
Bruno was feeling a little lonely once he wanted to be a part of this conversation.
Freaking every time we have a podcast, Chip gets up and shakes, and then he's just loud as hell the whole time, too. It's the worst.
I thought we were going to get through this whole podcast without him barking.
What kind of dog is he?
He is a Bernedoodle Bernese Mountain Dog mix.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Or he's a Bernedoodle. He's a Poodle Bernese Mountain Dog mix.
Right. Yeah, we have a... What is ours?
He's a cockapoo. Cocker Spaniel and Poodle.
Forget. He's small.
He's little.
Cockapoo.
Yeah, he's very small.
My dog, I mean, I don't know. I would consider him like average or medium.
Medium size?
I think he's like 40, 45 pounds.
What's Chip, do you know?
20, a little under 20.
20?
I think. Yeah.
He's like on the upper end of a small dog, I guess. I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that threshold is to where it's a small, medium, or large.
Yeah.
So.
You want to talk a little bit about the Driveshafts? You guys are just released?
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of keep it pretty simple. I mean, we're going to be right in range of everything else that's in the marketplace. Like I said, they're U.S. made. They're 1310 is what we have Listen, we can do. We're gonna get there to where we can do 1350s, and we can do rears. But what we have on the shelf is for fronts for JKs or JLs.
Okay.
Most of them are gonna fit. So like on the JK, if you have anything from a 2 to a 4, 4.5, it will work. And then a JL will work from 0 to 6-inch lift, even maybe 6.5. But at the end of the day, obviously we want, measurements taken, drive lengths. And then we know obviously what this will fit. And then if not, we can make that custom shaft.
Okay. So is that kind of the ordering process is you get the customer's measurements and then you just verify that it's going to work?
When you get a PO for those, the first thing, whether it's you or your sales rep, Andrew, is just ask the question.
Okay.
I think Andrew has it. If not, obviously I could always send it over to him, but I have it very simple to where then they can forward it over to your customer where to measure that drive shaft from.
Gotcha. Okay. So, center of the U-joint to center U-joint, or?
Center of the U-joint. I think the way we're doing it is center of the U-joint to the back of the
flange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's flange mount on the transfer case side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I've had them. So we've been selling. I mean, they're really starting to take off. I think we had an order for one customer, quantity of 10.
Oh, really?
I actually have to take one. Drop after this podcast. I'm going to take one to a local shop here in Chicago that ordered one yesterday. Pop in, say hello, shake hands, kiss some babies, drop some shafts or drive shafts off.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, they're great. I've had them on my Gladiator. We've had them on Kevin's Rubicon.
Okay.
And that's how we do a lot of things. We'll send our samples. We have in-house engineers. So, we engineer it or reverse engineer stuff. And then we get samples made, and then we test them out on our own vehicles if we have the vehicle to test them out on. If not, we obviously rely on our really big rebuilders that we supply parts to. And then we get the feedback, and then we go into batch production on stuff.
Right. What about you said you have a Gladiator?
I do.
When did you get the Gladiator?
November, I think.
November? So you've almost had it a year?
Yeah.
Cool. How do you like it?
Love it.
You do?
I love it, yeah.
What have you done to it?
Oh.
Where do you start?
I have a Revolution Gear drive shaft, front drive shaft.
Smart.
513 Revolution Gear 513s. I have a 2-inch AV lift. I have AVE wheels, or rims, I should say. I have the Patagonia .2s.
Okay.
I have a Tua Pro chase rack on the back, on the bed. But I have the full system. So if I wanted to do the full, I don't drive around daily with the whole thing set up, just the chase rack, but I have the rear to make it a full, in case, if I want to do like overlanding stuff where I want to mount like spare or extra gas cans and a tent, roof tent, and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. How often?
And then, of course, side steps for the rear bumper for the bed, a front bumper. What else? A bunch of lights and stuff like that.
You have like your face embroidered in the headrest and stuff, or that's next? You do.
I do.
That's cool.
It came from the factory that way. I have an agreement with Mopar. Yeah.
What edition is that called?
It's the Maggio Mojave.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
All the viewers can go Google that. 104?
One of one.
Oh, 1 of 1. Okay, I was going to say, who the hell got the other 3?
If you ever see it, I'll let you. I tell people free smells. I'll let you open the door and sniff.
Cool. Sniff your seat? Or just the interior?
Well, I don't know if you want to get that close, but...
how often do you take it out?
Not as much as I'd like. Unfortunately, obviously, being from Chicago, this isn't known for great off-roading. So I guess the closest where you can have some fun is you just go to either live obviously right off of Lake Michigan. So not the Illinois Chicago side, because there's obviously a major city there. But if you go into Indiana and then into the Michigan side, it's all sand dunes.
Oh, really?
So that's a lot of fun. There's the Badlands in central Indiana, central to southern Indiana. Though, I mean, that's some pretty challenging stuff. That's 4 hours away.
Okay.
Obviously it's a little bit further of a drive, but I can get into Tennessee and do some stuff. I have family down in southern Illinois, so believe it or not, there's a lot of a lot of bluffs and elevation changes. That's more like, and I take it out on some of my family's property, but that's kind of like more mudding. Oh, okay. It's still fun. It's still fun to get it out there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we've never really taken our Jeep anywhere except, like, what's the furthest we've gone?
Where'd we go with
Logandale?
Is that where we went?
Yeah. We've only taken it like an hour outside of the valley. So there's a lot of stuff obviously in Vegas, like around Vegas, for crawling, but we've never really taken it anywhere. Logandale's probably like a 45-hour-minute drive to get to the trail. That's that's a fun, there's some good crawling out there.
Is there?
Yeah.
That's when I was sick though.
Yeah, it was.
So I'll be like I said, I'm going out to the Bantam Trail Fest in a couple weeks, and it's nice. So they do a trail ride the first night out there, and even vendors can do that, because that's part of the problem is unless you get out early, we have to set up a booth, we have to set up our tent. We're there to work, but, right? We try to get out on trails usually the day before show starts. So they that Friday, so I think October 7th. We'll hit trail. We'll do a night ride, so that will be fun, and I'll do it in my Gladiator.
Yeah, that's cool. I've always wondered how they, it's like it's a different feel in a 2-door Jeep than it is a 4-door Jeep or Wrangler, and then the Gladiator's the wheelbase is a little longer than the Wrangler, right?
Yeah, it's definitely challenging. I mean, I know my coworker Brandon. He's taken it out to Moab once or twice already. There's pros and cons, just like anything. Yeah. So there's going to be certain things that, it can do that a regular 2-door or 4-door JL can do, and there's going to be things that it can't do because of the longer wheelbase.
Yeah.
But mine is the Mojave edition, so I mean, it rips in sand. It's just the suspension's off the the factory floor is pretty stout.
Even with those coil bearings.
Man, those coil bearings.
They're killing it. Good.
It'd be so fun to take his Gladiator out and see how it did compared to our Jeep.
Well, he would have to be there because I always fuck something up.
That's true.
He would have to be driving it, but it'd be cool to go out together.
That's all right. I mean, you have insurance, right? I think your insurance is still covered under my vehicle if you're driving it.
Really?
I think that's how it works.
I know. I just wouldn't want to rip the headrests or whatever. Your logos are hard to replace.
They are one of one, so that would
yeah, we haven't gone.
Be great.
We haven't gone out in what, a year?
Over a year.
It's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's life, right? I mean, work's been crazy, and obviously, companies are trying to navigate through a lot of different things, and then you guys have a young family, same on my end, young kids and, activities, and that's the reality of it. That's life.
You said the other day you were coaching softball?
Yeah, last night.
Your daughter's team?
Yeah. I coach her and I coach my son in baseball.
Cool.
Fun.
Yeah, Hudson played his first season of baseball last fall. And then I missed the spring sign up for him. So all year long he was like, when is baseball starting? When is baseball starting? And I was like, sorry, you little bastard. I missed the cutoff. So I'm sorry. So yeah, he just started fall.
Oh man.
He's like 3 games into this fall. So he's having a ball.
He's liking it.
Yeah, he loves it.
Oh, he loves it.
He has.
Same with Mikey. And I love it too, because I feel like, baseball's always been my favorite sport. But I'm always afraid, like, is a sport like baseball going to die because of it's a lot of thinking, and it's not obviously as fast paced as a lot of the other sports.
Yeah, it's very technical.
This day and age with kids, it's like all the devices and this, that, and the other. It's like, man, is it going to dry up? Is this sport going to be done? But I don't know. He loves it, so
good. How old is he?
I'm not pushing anything on any of my kids, but I'm obviously super excited that they're into that because, again, like I said, it's something I can relate to. I played my entire life.
Yeah, so you played baseball like through high school and stuff?
Yeah.
Did you play football or anything else?
Football, and I wrestled just my freshman year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a loser who played golf in high school, so.
What a loser.
For real. I played baseball till I was, I think, 13 or 14. And then I think I started golfing at like 12. So I kind of I started the golfing and I was like, oh, I actually like this a lot better.
I mean, I love golf, but I mean, you've golfed with me before. My driver is just, I can't figure out my slice. I can hit. I mean, I have the power. I can kill my irons. I'm a serviceable putter, but man, I gotta get this. I gotta get this slice figured out. I gotta get my woods under control.
Well, when we played, the wind was blowing like 400 miles an hour. So your slice, sometimes you didn't even slice it, right? Because the wind was so bad.
Oh man, it wasn't even a slice, dude. It was. It was like it did 360. It was that windy.
Boomerang.
Were you bragging the whole time how good you are?
Hell no, I never say anything, and I wasn't. I mean, I hit a couple good shots, but I remember me putting. It was like every putt I hit went like 80 yards past the pin.
I think, yeah. So we all had really good shots, and then we all had some bad shots. Jake's putting was off that day. I already told you I couldn't drive to save my life, but I made up for it with my irons. But it was just a disaster.
That's what happens when you don't play.
The worst golf conditions I've ever golfed in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the windiest I've ever seen it in my life.
Yeah, I was telling them when we went out there, that was my home course in high school. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, we used to. I mean, it was never that windy when we played, but it's always windy at Paiute. So I was like, that was kind of our advantage, right? You play in the wind every day, you get accustomed to it, and then all the other teams would come out and just be miserable all day. So yeah, it was crazy
it was still fun though. Hey, you're out there.
Yeah, it was fun.
Not working, golfing, having a couple drinks, having a cigar. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta figure out how to start playing again because I miss it. And, like when you don't play, your short game goes to shit. You can't putt, you can't chip. You have no feel, right? You have no idea what's...
Yeah, your mechanics go in this chipping. A lot of times you want to stop your swing when you hit the ball when on a chip instead of still following through. Yeah. Golf is it doesn't...
It's unforgiving.
It's not kind to you. It's extremely unforgiving. Right. And it's just one of those things where you have to constantly do it. And again, it's kind of like off-roading or any hobby for that matter with, people in our general age group. Most have families and kids and activities. So your stuff kind of goes to the wayside for them. But it is what it is.
That's another thing about crawling in the Jeep and stuff that is very technical too. And that, it takes practice to know how to line up. It takes practice to know, when to get on it, when not to. So Sam would always, right? You would always be the navigator.
Yeah, because you'd hit every fucking rock that there was.
Well, the faster you go,
she was Goose and you were Maverick.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
She would never drive, but she was very good at lining us up.
I tried driving one time and I almost ran your ass over because you wouldn't get out of the freaking way.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is true. And then I was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to have a good co-pilot. So
no, it is. It's 100% when you're out there. I mean, you can only see so much, right? So if you got to have somebody on the outside as well when you're doing like that technical rock crawling, you got to be placed right in order to get over stuff and crawl through it. So it's fun. I miss doing that.
To your point though, it's definitely something that I think people just think you get behind the steering wheel and you just go, and it could be further from the truth. So
No, yeah, because I mean, if you are one of those, then you'll learn real quick. I mean, you'll start eating up drive shafts and bouncing your diff off of, every rock out there.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's okay. I mean, we need those people out there doing that too, right?
we just need to be around to see it, though, right? That's the entertaining part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. I hear you.
Is there anything else you want to talk to us about on the Revolution side, or?
It's we talked about our drive shafts. We touched on the axles. We have availability pretty much mix and match, obviously, US and our Discovery series in stock for front and rear axle kits. For the most part, we are good on stock on all the late model stuff like JL and then the JK stuff. Same with Toyota applications, because those are the two big, popular sellers for off-roading / overlanding stuff.
Right.
I would say, we have our own branded oil, gear oil, which we sell a lot of. So keep that in mind. It's something that you and I can talk where we figure out how we can attach maybe gear packages with, on average 4 quarts per diff. So a total of 8. We can figure that out behind the scenes, or somehow to link it to where, hey, as a recommendation, hey, you're buying the gear package, why don't you throw in some oil? What else? We do make a 1350 chromoly U-joint Revolution. It's ours.
Oh, that's right. I saw that. Those look nice.
Yeah. So it's something to keep in mind. Those are something to keep in mind. And I'm trying to think of other things.
Yeah.
Smaller parts that not that everyone knows us for. What else?
Yeah, I think on our side the gear packages really took off. Like the Revolution Jeep gear packages are really popular, front and rear with the master kits. I mean, Jeep guys really like Revolution. I mean, because we were at some point we were selling, Yukon, Nitro, and the Jeep guys would always go with Revolution kits. So you guys have done a good job, going to those shows, being out in the public eye, and getting those customers, because they really like Revolution stuff.
No, I appreciate that. I think it's my opinion. It's a couple things. I think we have a really good crew. We're all as knowledgeable. Listen, I'm not a technician. I play one on TV, but I'm not a technician.
Right.
But with that said, me and all my coworkers, that's a point of pride for us, is getting as technical and having as much knowledge as possible. I do the majority, and Kevin, the owner of our company, we do the majority of the traveling for the company. Mm-hmm. And so I'm in and out of shops all the time.
Right.
And I've been around a ton of installs. I do have a mechanical background as well before I got into the automotive game. And we do have a tech guy too. So I pick his brain all the time. He's been doing this for 20 years at least. And listen, I learn a lot from my customers too. I learn a lot. I take the time to listen, and so do my coworkers too, are, the rebuilders that we've been dealing with for a long time. But we've been making gears for a long time.
Yeah.
We're up against, I think, 40 years here soon, in a year or two. So we've been doing them for about 48 years, I think. Revolution, the brand itself, has been around for about 7 years. But, before that, we were just wholesale white box. So the gears have, withstood the test of time. And let's face it, the internet's out there, and word of mouth and everything else.
Right.
So, customers are probably the most informed and the most intelligent about things when they want to make that kind of investment, or, that kind of.
I've said it before too. Like if you have a question and we don't know the answer, we have an outlet like you. I can go to you and I can say, hey, here's the issue one of our customers is having. What have you seen this before? What's going on? And if you don't know the answer, it just goes down the line, right? You go to the guy that does have 20 years of experience, who might know it. If he doesn't, you guys have a great crew of people that are very knowledgeable. And so that's what I always tell our customers is let us know what issues you're having. And if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to say, sorry, I don't know. Because we have a lot of people that we have a really good relationship with that probably do know the answer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we had, I think it was yesterday that it was actually on our transfer case side of our proactive gear side of the house. And, you know, we keep really good documentation, and we can base things off of when the PO date is and invoice dates. And we tracked a case. You had a customer that had an issue with a yoke not fitting properly for a rear case half on a transfer case. And we tracked it down to what batch it was. We looked at a return rate, and there was in that batch, which was 3 batches ago, there was 0 returns. So we're like, all right, chances are, you know, because when you own a batch production, 99% of the time they're all going to be a mirror
exactly
of each other,
same.
right?
Yeah.
So, you know, what's logical here? All right, it's going to be that sleeve. So, you know, we have sleeves in case something gets damaged, but the case half is still good. So we went out there, I mic'd it, and it was dead on to what it was. So probably what we had was one sleeve on the rear of that case half that was machined wrong. And, you know, problem solved. It was easy, you know, get it in a box and get it and drop ship it directly to your customer. And, you know, you make a happy customer, and he doesn't have to worry about pulling that case half off again and messing with all that. It's a simple fix. So,
yeah,
you know, that's what we try to do. And I think that's why we've always worked well with each other, because, you know, we have the same philosophy as Rigid Axle, and that's to sell, you know, the best products out there that we can and take care of customers in a timely fashion.
Yeah, cool.
It's a pretty simple formula if you really think about it.
Yeah, I know. It is. It is. Yeah, just making the customer feel comfortable and happy.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're all here for. All right.
That's it.
I think we can end it here, right?
Yeah.
You guys are good?
Good to go, guys. Good to go.
All right, cool. We appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. We'll obviously have to do this again as your guys' product line grows, or if you have, you know, even in like technical stuff. Every Tuesday we do a Tech Tuesday video. If you have, you know, maybe a tech thing that you want to bring to light, or you've seen on your end, or any of that stuff. So if you ever want to come back on, let us know. We'll be glad to have you.
Yeah, I'd love to come back on. I mean, we didn't touch much on the proactive gear side, and that's fine. But maybe we could say that if you have something down the road where you want to talk more heavily on transfer case, no problem. I mean, we do make manual transmission stuff as well, so we could even talk on some of that, maybe some of the T56 stuff for some of the performance guys. So we could save that for a different time, but
a lot of our business obviously is transfer case. That's kind of where our business started. That's kind of where a lot of people know us, is the transfer case side. So 100% we need to get you back on and talk to you about proactive gear and you know, manual transmission stuff, because that's not a lot of stuff that we do right now, but it needs to get listed on the site. We do have the product to sell. It's just we're not selling it. So yeah, it'd be good to link up with you again and talk about it.
The off-road stuff is the off-road stuff's the fun stuff to talk about, the sexy stuff. But, you know, at the same time,
it's the SEMA show.
The volume that we're doing, that we manufacture and then sell to you guys, and, you know, and sell to our distributors, and then you guys sell to the end users. I mean, again, that's the kind of stuff that keeps the lights on.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It's fun to talk about this kind of stuff, the Jeeps and whatnot, but any four-wheel drive vehicle has a transfer case, so there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know anything about transfer cases, and they don't want to know anything about them until theirs takes a shit, right? So it's good to have some content about it, and people can refer to when they do need help, you know. So yeah, well, let's plan to have you back on. We'll talk more transfer case, transmission stuff, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good, guys. I appreciate you guys having me. Have a great weekend.
You too.
You too.
I mean, shit, we might talk in an hour about something. So.
Something, yeah, or this weekend, or you know, it's always something. We're always talking.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks, man. Weekend. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, guys. Talk to you.
Bye.
Bye.